This podcast is brought to you by Voice and Vision, bringing help, hope, and healing to individuals, families, and communities affected by mental illness, addictions, and disabilities in southeastern Pennsylvania.
Welcome to Untold Valor, a podcast with a unique focus on veterans, featuring stories of courage, recovery, perseverance, and strength. Listen to hear veterans share their perspectives on what it's like to battle mental health challenges, combat addictions, and overcome other adversities unique to those who have served.
Very excited this week to have yet another fantastic guest here on Untold Valor. And we are joined by Kween Smith, who's going to be talking with us about fitness and mental health and veterans issues. And she's just going to be a fantastic guest to have on. So looking forward to talking with her. Inventor, coach, veteran, mother, wife, Miss Kween Smith. How you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I'm fantastic, and I'm fantastic. All three of those. How are you?
You are triple fantastic. That's fantastic.
I am triple. Look, I am the 3 Fs. Yes.
There you go. Very good. So let's talk a little bit today on our conversation. I want to, as we always do, I like to kind of get a little bit of your background, but I know that you wanted to focus a little bit on using health and fitness and nutrition and things as a way to also help when it comes to dealing with some of the mental issues and things that veterans go through. So we'll get to that in just a minute, and we'll have some information in the show notes as well for ways for folks to get in contact with you if they'd like to get some help from you on some of these things, as we always do. But tell us a little bit about you, Kween, and kind of how a little bit about your journey and then how you got to where you're at.
Okay, so about me, I grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We ended up moving there from, I was originally born in Texarkana, Texas, right? Okay. And so we ended up moving to Colorado Springs, Colorado. I can tell you that was the first culture shock I ever had in my life, but it was the most lovely thing because I became who I was there. That kind of shaped me into understanding what the world really was.
Gotcha.
Right?
A little different in Texas than Colorado. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. When I tell you culture shocked. Okay. And so, but I did get to learn a lot of life skills and what life had to offer there. So there really was no prejudice there. It was just a whole new world for me, right? So it opened up my eyes to a whole lot more. Mm-hmm. But the downside of that was I ended up getting into some gang activity and things of that nature, which also caused me to flee from, Colorado. Gotcha. And go into the Air Force. So that's how I end up in the Air Force, right? That's how I end up somebody y'all could be proud of and somebody that fought for you all and turned my life around. So nice. Because of a gang activity issue, I end up fleeing from Colorado in 2 weeks. I ended up in McGuire Air Force Base, New Jersey. And that's where it all started, where Kween became Kween.
Gotcha.
I was a small little airman. And from there on, I learned a lot about the world for real. If you want to put, double words on things, for real, the world became a whole nother culture shock to me. And that's where I also developed my love for spoken word poetry. And from there on, I was able to become a pioneer in the Air Force, as you would say. And then with some issues I ended up learning how to delve into myself and always keep it real and be yourself and learn how to overcome anything because you just need yourself in a good heart. Yeah. So that's a little bit about me. And from then on, I fell in love with my husband and actually married a personal trainer. So now I am right. So that's just how my love story went. Out here for poetry, visiting. And then I became a wife, a mother, a business owner, and the person I am now that helps others, overcome any and everything.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions. No, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And we'll dive into some of that. So let me ask you about your time in the military. So overall, did you find it impactful, useful, helpful? Everybody has different feelings about what their time in the service, and how did you react to it?
Sure. What I can tell you is that I got everything that I was offered, right? Because you go in there and it is a sales pitch. You're going to be able to go to school. You're going to be able to travel. And all those things are very exciting. So I went in and I got all of those things. I really, really did. I had my wish list. I got to go to the base I wanted to get to. But then there's a dun, 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 right? I had to deal with on the inside jobs, right? Dealing with people, other people's views and issues. And we're all trying to come together as a real live, one America, one force to fight for everybody. But we're all internally having certain issues, assaults, racism, classism, all of those things, because we're our own entity. We're our own world. Mm-hmm. So that part of it is where a lot of my mental health issues came in, because it's like you're a civilian times 10 where you can't say anything about certain issues, but you're also becoming stronger and helpful, and you becoming patriotic, and you can take on anything for the sake of the country. So
Gotcha.
I got everything. And I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world now, even though I did not come out the same per se.
Gotcha. Okay, so you experienced a little bit of some mental health issues during the service, which many people do, right? From whether it's in combat or whatever the case might be. And I think that's where, that's obviously the focus of our podcast here on Untold Valor, is helping people, who maybe have transitioned issues when they've come back out of service and into other parts of life, whether they're battling combat addictions or mental health issues or, PTSD in some form or fashion, whatever the case is. And so is that kind of what started, meeting your husband and kind of getting more into the fitness side? Did you find that was starting to help some of your mental issues?
Yes. And how would I know? Because I had never really been in love before. My love was for the country and for always for a team.
Gotcha,
So before that, I played basketball. Before that, I was on this team and I was on that team. So it was all for the team. So to get out and become a civilian and have to be with somebody one-on-one that's not a civilian and can try to help you, like, hey, you need a hug, you need love. It don't go that way. You don't have to be hard. You don't have to do this. Yes, so I end up, training with him, and within that, training my mind in a different way to be more helpful and bring it down and not be so, to pretty much say it in military form, I was at ease, by
Gotcha.
finding fitness and finding that love of fitness and coming back into myself.
And I think that's an interesting point for a lot of people too. Sometimes our veterans, right, they struggle in that transition period, like we talked about, coming out of service, going back to civilian life, or just even years later, maybe dealing with some PTSD issues. Trying to get the body back into maybe better shape, maybe not necessarily the way we were when we were younger, 20 or 30 years ago, but I think just getting healthy goes a long way to helping some of our mental issues as well, no matter what's going on in life.
I totally agree. And I can say that because I've had to deal with the most, insane issues, when you're a soldier and things of like that nature, not just a soldier, then a soldier going into a civilian life and putting that on just a regular civilian who hasn't had any of those issues or who not really, let's just call it what it is, a trained killer, So when you have those issues, and I'm a female, so it was all that. So when I found is that when I was able to do my 5 little basic exercises, I remember, which are called calisthenics, when I was able to do my sit-ups, my push-ups, my jumping jacks, and all that, and I was able to release some things, however all those symptoms work, when you release some things out into the universe, I became better at speaking to other people. I smiled more. I was able to, be more helpful. Ask somebody, hey, do you need a hand? Or I was opening the door for people. I was just doing things differently, and I was challenging myself to, to get out of a funk.
Right.
So that's what physical fitness does, because it is going to start with you. It's going to take one person just to change the world, right? And that comes with you being, clear about a purpose that you have after all of that mess that you go through.
Well, that's true. I mean, I think if we start to feel a little bit better internally and even feeling good about ourselves externally, and then we're kind of able to kind of project that internally, it does make it a little easier to smile more, right? And then a smile can go a long way to, dropping people's guards in other situations, and then you kind of talk with other folks. And one of the things that people do here with the podcast, and one of the things that the folks who put on this podcast at Voice and Vision and Compere Core do, is they really help veterans talk with other veterans, because nobody quite understands the experience like someone who else has been through a similar journey, right? So I imagine that goes a long way in a lot of the public speaking that you do as well.
Yes, because I have to tell a lot of different stories about, I have to give examples of things and how I got out of that and how this may have, worked for me. And so it definitely, it helps at all given times. And even within me doing all of those things, getting into myself, I became an entrepreneur with that. So even me speaking now, like you said, sharing my story, now I'm a paid speaker to tell that story, because so people can relate, because you don't know if people can or cannot get over things or how they can get over things. And you just simply sharing, because I feel good now, is helping so many others, turn their frowns upside down. So you're absolutely correct. And then within all of that, I was able to create a product to help other people, and just know that, like I said again, people lose a purpose, now, like when you're in the military and it's not for America no more, you don't know what you're standing for. And so to find that again, is very important so that you can be of service now to a different world.
Yeah. And finding a purpose, I think, in any walk of life, whether you're transitioning from military to civilian or just transitioning from anything, one job to another or whatever it might be, is really important, I think, to the human psyche, because we're not really designed to sit still, I don't think. Sometimes we get kind of sediment. All the technology in the world allows us to kind of sit a lot more, right? There's so many jobs where we're just kind of sitting and things of that nature. But I think fundamentally, people are designed to move, right? And do something. So, of course, with you doing more of this personal training and speaking and things of that nature, I'm sure it's opened up a lot more doorways and pathways for you feeling better about your own self, not to mention just helping other people.
Yeah, I got really down at one point. Saka, you're totally right. I got really down at one point because adding all to all of that, I ended up getting pregnant, right, in my 30s. And now, I'm somebody like who, what, when, where, and why. Right. I thought that was that train had sailed for me. You really just think certain things can't happen to you, like people that may get AIDS or cancer or STD. You just don't think it can really happen to you.
Sure.
And so that was really me. So I ended up having a baby, then had another baby, then had another baby. So I had 3 kids, right? My last one, I was almost 40. So with doing all of that, I became even more depressed, right? Because then you have this
changes your body,
postpartum depression. Yeah, now I got postpartum depression on top of my real depression. Then I got my PTSD from the military, and I am the only person that can get myself up out of that. It doesn't matter. I'm the only person that can, even if I ask for help, I still have to step forward and ask somebody for that help. And so what I found with my fitness product, when I end up coming up with, is that only reason that any of us are here, the only thing that has us all in common, whether we're small or tall, hairy or bald, is that we all have a beating heart.
Yeah, very true.
If that goes, you're nothing. It doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? People can make your memory live on, but you can live a long time if you keep that heart beating and 10 to 15 minutes to yourself, just doing something for yourself and giving yourself time to breathe it out, talk to yourself, do the few exercises or whatever is helpful. So that's what I started to do, things that were helpful for my heart, because I realized I love heart, and all I have really left to give people is from my heart, and that's very, very pure. And so I had to start taking care of that if I was going to really survive out here in a different world without my comrades,
Yeah. So let's kind of finish, and we'll try to transition in what you're doing now. And really, I think, talking about just getting in some form of fitness or some form of moving, whatever it is, right? I mean, start with small if you need to, but get moving, right? That can go a long way to helping the physical body, but also the mental side of things as well.
Yeah, you can also meet new people that way. You taking a walk, see somebody else taking a walk or whatever. You can just open up so many doors by just being out and doing whatever. Again, who knows what idea can come to you if you're sitting in yourself for a few minutes.
Very true. Very true. So what are you doing now? What you got going on now?
So happy that you asked. I told you about my love story when I finally transitioned and everything happened in life, and I got out the military and I got off the road from doing spoken word. I landed back in old Texas, right?
Okay.
And I ended up meeting that personal trainer I was telling you about. And so he and I ended up having our own business together. So he was already a personal trainer. I'm already a soldier. I'm already physically fit. We had a connection there, and he and I have our own gym. And we are now both personal trainers. And we have 3 beautiful daughters that are athletes, the top of their class. And we teach other kids how to have academics with an awesome attitude, because that's what you need to have. So not only do we teach that level, I also teach women. I have a really keen in specialty with teaching women how to stay fit without all of the pressure, and understand you're just a regular person that just needs to be healthy without all of these over the top expectation, and just how to keep your heart rate down and how to keep you at ease so you can be here for a long time to see your children and your grandchildren and things of that nature. So that's what we're doing now. We're in Plano, Texas, and we do virtual. So we get to touch people all over the world. And like I was telling you, I myself am so happy because you heard the word inventor when you were explaining in my bio.
Yep.
I invented a product called Cardio Cards, the personal pocket trainer. Now listen to how that sounds. It is 54 illustrated workout cards that give you the reps and sets in each deck, right? So that means that you have a deck full of cards, you shuffle them up, and whatever that card tells you to do, 1 sit-up, 10 squats, that's what you do. And when you finish that whole entire deck, you have finished your workout. And it can be done with a buddy. It can be done with your kids. And that's the way I invented it, because I'm home with kids and I had to find a fun way to stay fit.
Right,
and
sure.
It's been working. So that's what we're doing. And then we're also, like I said, we're doing speaking engagements. And now we're trying to get into more doing the social media where we can let the whole world know about the product and the services that we provide. Because again, without that heart, without being healthy, it's a wrap for you. Going to be just a citizen of the world that either is not doing anything, wasting time, or taking up space.
Yeah, and it is not good for the mental health, and that sends us down a bad path we don't want to go. So, and we'll put some links to how to get in contact with Kween if you'd like to learn more about the cardio cards and the things that she's doing. But I think the takeaway from this episode, Kween, is probably going to be, right, take a step. Get moving, right? Do something for your personal mental, health, but also your physical body's health as well. And it could go a long way to helping stuff. So if, as a final message, what's kind of a final thought you'd like to share to our listeners out there who, maybe are struggling with, whether it's mental or physical side of their, their transition back to civilian life? What would be a message you'd like to send to them?
Well, my message is, again, you have to, if you can, take any moment to just reflect back. And I'm going to take this from, I love Joel Osteen, and this has helped me get through. Remember who you are. You have to really think about that when you get time, because it's still only you. Remember who you are. Remember how much, especially for my veterans and my people that are soldiers, remember how much strength you had, how much time and effort and dedication and how much patriotism that you had to fight for a whole country and be disciplined enough. You have to remember who you are. I would say that to anybody, because you get to overcome and help the entire world and tell your story. Remember that you're still here and you're still breathing, and you have to go there. And also, like I said, when you take that step, your physical body will move and everything will fall into place.
Well, you can hear the passion in your voice with that. So thank you so much for sharing. Powerful message. Great guest. We certainly appreciate your time, Kween, here on the podcast. Folks, as always, if you need help, if you're struggling with whatever your situation is, please use some of the resources that we provide here on the show and get in contact with someone who can help you with whatever situation you might be struggling with. Check the show note descriptions for the details on how to get in contact with the teams, and we have lots of resources available for you. So thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, Untold Valor, Veterans Recovery in Action, and we will see you next time. Kween, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Appreciate you so much, and we'll see you guys next time here on Untold Valor. You've been listening to Untold Valor by Voice and Vision. We hope you found the information and resources discussed today helpful. As always, thank you for listening and for your support. Remember to stay connected with us through our various social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to visit the website, voiceandvisioninc.org. That's voiceandvisioninc.org, where you can sign up for our blog and find free resources and information on upcoming events, webinars, workshops, and get support. You can also access our free help and hope guide for individuals and families struggling with substance use and addiction. If someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help, because you and your life matter. Remember, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available to you at any time by dialing 988. We are all ambassadors of hope and recovery, and if you want to share your story, please contact us. Compeer Corps is also looking for veteran mentor volunteers and veteran participants. To find out more information about Compeer Corps, please call 610-541-0790. That's 610-541-0790. You can find all the links and contact information for the resources mentioned on today's episode by checking the description and the show notes section of your app. Thank you again for tuning in and for your support. Until next time, this has been Untold Valor.